What is up, guys? JBTheKid00 here, coming to you guys with a brand new video, and goodness knows it feels good to say that. It's been a bit of a while. I'm bringing you guys my list from YCS London. As you can probably assume from not really seeing me in the coverage, didn't do too well. I ended up going 3-3, but I thought it would at least be a good initiative to bring you guys a video of what I played. And I'm going to bring you a few more deck profiles of things that I picked up through the event, and hopefully give you at least a little bit of a review about my experience. But for the moment, the first video I was going to get out there was Paleozoic Frogs, the deck I ended up taking. I'll preface the deck by the video by saying I did have full spiral built, but goodness knows I wasn't practiced enough with it, so I wasn't confident playing it, because in a lot of my test standing situations I ended up getting combos wrong and things like that. So I felt like I was much more likely to lose to myself playing spiral than to kind of play a deck that I knew. I know this deck okay, and I wanted to play trap deck because traps is just kind of my natural deck. Looking back to old control formats, I just kind of wanted to play something I thought I'd be comfortable with. So I picked this up and ended up playing it. I actually really enjoyed it. I won my locals a few days before the event, and then I just thought, sod it, I'll just take it to the event. Looking back, there are definitely a few cards I wanted to play differently in this, but we'll get into the list, and I guess I'll explain it as I go through it. This was actually the first event other than that locals that I played Paleozoic at as a real deck. I used to kind of troll on Dueling Book a little bit with it. So there were definitely kind of like mistakes that I made and ratios that definitely should have been changed in the deck. But for a first draft, I had a lot of fun with this, and what I really went into London for was fun. I never really expected to do very well. And the fact that I trashed Spiral round 1 made me feel absolutely amazing. But Spiral very soon had their revenge. But we'll get into the list. So to start off, we were playing the full frog complement in the form of 3 swap frogs. He's the guy. He's just who you always wanted to see turn 1 as soon as possible. And he was fairly loyal. He was fairly consistently there. So I liked him a lot. I wish I'd cut down on the rest of the frog engine that I'm about to get into, but I played a high number because I'd previously seen that Spiral players were playing DD Crow en masse, and I really wanted to kind of up my Ronin count, but I definitely think I wanted to play a few less frogs. But I played Triple Dupe. This one again I'm semi-comfortable with. I saw this a lot more than I did swap, I feel. Almost all of my turns were kind of set this, set 4, or set this, set 3, play Demise. So I felt like they were okay. Maybe I would have wanted to play 2, but I always wanted to have one online for my Totally Awesome. So I mean, 3 Dupe was pretty cool, and I mean these guys were just great. I love the attack distraction. I really enjoyed the frog engine. I really want to try and work it into something else in the future. Maybe when the ban list happens, I'll try and come up with some crazy frog decks now that I've got this core. But this is staying with me for the long run because man just really likes frogs. We then played triple Ronintoadin. This I feel like was a mistake. I think I should have gone to 2 Ronin, mainly because I ended up opening this an uncomfortable amount, and when you open it with swap, that's absolutely great, but when you don't, it's absolutely horrendous. And the main problem is when you see a card called Spiral Gear Drone is doing the rounds, the amount of... I think I had 3 situations where I get droned, and then they'd Super Agent, and they'd reveal this off the top of my deck. So Drone was a problem, and I think I should have played less of this because it got seen far too often by the drone. So they kind of bugged me up like that. But I don't want to speak negatively of this core. I absolutely love this frog engine. Every time I got it online, I just felt happy playing the deck. I'll admit my performance wasn't great, and people would criticize me for not actually kind of caring or playing a real competitive deck, but every time I was playing with this engine, I just enjoyed it. I really liked the way it operated. I really love the way Swap Frog works. That's just great. So I played the 9 frogs. I didn't play any hand traps. I toyed with the idea of Max C, but other than that, I didn't want to play any other hand traps because I played the Demise variant, and I felt like playing hand traps would just take away from my actual trap presence and would interfere with my Paleozoics, so I didn't think it was going to be great. Also, I apologise, my playmat is upside down. I set up the whole table and then realised it was upside down and I couldn't be bothered to change it. So moving into spells, I played 5. I played 2 Pot of Desires. I resolved this 4 times across the course of the event, and twice I activated it and drew the other one. So that wasn't very enjoyable. However, the other 2 times I drew them off of Card of Demise, and that wasn't too that was pretty interesting, but I wasn't too happy to see them because it meant that I had to just set them and they weren't an effective trap, or I had to use them and just lose more cards. But these were pretty cool. I don't think I'd take them out. I think 2 was the right number, maybe going down to 1, but it was a cool pick. And then I played 3 Card of Demise because I still think this card is unfair. I'm not sure if I might want to change them, maybe go to 3 pots and no Demise, and then play hand traps. Also because Demise had the conflict in that if I did see a Swap Frog, say like off the Demise, or just if I saw a Swap Frog and a Demise, if I had a play that would lead to me being able to make Totally Awesome, I couldn't play Demise in that turn, or vice versa. If I played Demise, I couldn't then make a Totally Awesome play, and I usually ended up having to just like add this, normal summon it, and leave it there because I couldn't bounce it. So Demise conflicted a little bit, but at the same time it gives you so much ridiculous advantage, and it's such a good comeback card as well. I still think I'd play it going forwards. I really did. I really did enjoy playing Demise. Moving on to the trap component, which is what everyone's here for. For the Paleozoic content, we played 3 Dynamiscus. I feel like this was the MVP card. 3 Paleozoic Canadia, 3 Olinoids, and 1 Morella. I didn't play very many cards that I wanted to send. However, I realise now the value in playing multiple Morellas, in that it just sets up your graveyard a whole lot better, because there were situations in which I didn't have Paleozoics online. A big problem playing against Spiral as well was Dynamiscus and Canadia, especially Canadia, because the fact that it's monster specific, get really weak against that deck, especially if you don't have an Olinoid to deal with the Spiral Resort. Again, another conflict as well was Card of Demise means that unless I draw a Reckless Greed, Dynamiscus is a problem card, because I'm not going to have fuel for it. So I had a lot of situations where I couldn't interrupt a Spiral combo because I'd drawn Canadia and not an Olinoid, so I need to find a better way to deal with the field spell in those situations. So I'm not sure how I felt about this. The Spiral grind game was really ugly when they got their field spell online. So maybe that's a change that should be made. You should really pay a bit more attention to the field spell, because that was something that really, really hurt me. So I played 10 Paleos, and then for the remainder of the traps, I played 3 Reckless Greed. These were great all day. I say all day. I played these in all of my game 1s, and then any other game I took them out, because in my opinion, I thought this was really, really strong. And I still really enjoyed it, but my theory was in games where people are actually siding for me and I need my deck to be a lot tighter, I'm not going to have any more relaxation room, and having this, I felt like I was going a turn later than I actually was. Because this is essentially a blank in terms of stopping Spiral going off, and regardless of whether or not you set 5 or not, Spiral is always just going to try and go off, and activating this isn't going to get me anywhere because it's not going to get me to a hand trap because I don't play any. So I always sided these out for my other options that would stop Spiral, and that always kind of served me well. In the other matchups, I kept it in, but my other matchups were Mermail and the Mirror, and then I played 4 Spiral, so by and large this came out. So 3 Reckless. I main deck 2 Rivalry. I really liked this a lot. It was kind of useless in the Mirror match, but it was good in every other matchup I played and would have played, except for maybe Trickstar. But Trickstar was pretty easy for me anyway. Double Rivalry was just really, really cool because you could say, like, set this into a Spiral board, activate it, they'd be left with a Sleeper, which, while that isn't great, doesn't exactly cause a problem. And if you didn't set this into it, if you actually opened it, there wasn't a lot Spiral could do unless they blank Super Agented into it, which did happen to me. A guy activated Super Agent and tried to do it 3 times in 3 different turns, and I had Strike 1 time, and then I had something else the other time, I can't remember. I think I Lost Winded it, and then the 3rd time he managed to resolve it and then actually clear this and go off. But it was a really, really good interrupter. It was a strong card. I always thought it was going to be strong. It was strong at locals when I played it in testing, and it was strong at the event. So Rivalry was really, really cool. Maybe relegate it to the side in the future, but I think for the format, it's a strong main deck contender. I played 2 Stormy Mirror Forces for the going second situations. I kind of liked them in theory. I never actually used it against Spiral. I saw it against Mermail and I saw it against Paleo. But otherwise, I never actually used it against Spiral. Again, another card I took out. Going first and second into Spiral in favor of just better cards for outing their boards, like the Kaijus. And other cards like that. So for the one-offs, I played 1 Lost Wind, 1 Back to the Front. This is a kind of a 41st card and should really have just been cut, but it was kind of fun. I did summon Totally Awesome back twice with it. 1 Torrential Tribute and 1 Solemn Warning, and I did neglect to mention there are a couple more 3-offs which I'd put at the back of the deck by mistake, which are 3 Solemn Strikes, which was super duper strong. And then my favourite card from the weekend, which is going to be obvious, is 3 Evenly Matched. Evenly Matched was dumb. Anyone who follows me on Facebook will know that literally the turn 1 first game, I activated this against a Spiral player. He spent 15 minutes making a board. I just go draw for turn, standby phase, main phase, battle phase, activate. Main phase 2, discard Ronin, summon Swap Frog, make a Totally Awesome, set 3, pass, and he was pretty much blown out from there. He had like 2 cards in hand, nothing he could do, and I then proceeded to just win game 2 as well. I can't even remember how that game went, but the fact that this was the first card I played all event, and then it was actually the last card played against me at the end of the event, as I got blown out in round 6 with this by Spiral. It's pretty hurtful, but that was that brings us to the end of the main deck. I really liked Evenly Matched, and I think I would definitely main deck it again. So in typical Jamie the Kid fashion, I'm really dragging this video on, so I'm going to kind of rush through the rest of this. For the extra deck, I played 3 Totally Awesome, because why on earth not? 2 Sky Cavalry Centauria, 2 Paleozoic Opabinia, and 1 Anomalocaris. I suppose I should talk about the Centauria quickly. It was just in there to deal with I've forgotten the name, the Water Invoked one. I wanted to play 2 because the Water Invoked guy is basically the only card I lose to, auto-lose wise, so I just really wanted to have the outs to it. I then played 1 Cat Shark and 1 Daigusto Phoenix. I wanted to play a Shogi Rook, but I couldn't find one in time. I think it's Shogi Rook, the other rank 2, but I couldn't find one in time for the event. So I made do. I played a Utopic Future and a Downed Magician. I summoned every single monster in my extra deck except these 2. So I didn't expect to summon these. These were kind of space fillers. This should have been Phantom Knight and Shogi Rook, but I couldn't find either of them. So that was those. And then for the Link monsters, I played 1 Decode Talker, because sometimes in my testing on Dueling Book, I would end up stuck with cards like Opabinias, or mainly the main one was Centauria in my extra monster zone, and I need to clear space. And then I just played 2 my Star Boys. I made this once. I made these loads, which I really loved. Kind of going. I had 1 board which was Miss Star Boy Toad, and I've never been so in love in my life. This deck really was totally awesome, to make that pun. For the sideboard, this was really rushed. It was 2 Magic Reflector. Sideboarding has always been my weakness. I've never been able to side deck very well at all throughout my entire career. This was meant to be, this Unending Nightmare was meant to be an Imperial Order, but I couldn't find mine, so space fill. 2 D Barrier. For everything that wasn't Spiral, I felt like it was definitely going to be necessary. For the Spiral matchup going first, I put in the Sanctums, the Scythe and the Lancia, and my final round I saw 4 of these. I got blown out by Spiral, and I drew the Scythe and 2 Sanctums, and it was just horrible. And then for the remainder of outs, going second, I played a Raigeki, an Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, and 3 different Kaijus. Of course, important to play the water one, because we can add it back by using Totally Awesome. But either way, that brings me to about the end of the profile. I really had fun with the deck. I'm never going to say it was a success or a good pick, because that would be a lie. I thought it might have been a little sign of fate that when I pre-registered, I got a dice at random, and the dice I packed was a water one, and I thought, oh my goodness, like if there's going to be an indication of things to go well, this dice will indicate that this is going to go well, but unfortunately it didn't. But like I said, I had a lot of fun, and I hope you've had fun watching this deck profile. So again, sorry for how long I've been gone. I'm going to try and make a few more videos, but consistency, we'll see about. This format's pretty stale, what with what Spiral's doing to it, but we'll soon see, and I'm sure there'll be a ban list around the corner to really bring me out of my closet with regards to creating content. But like I said, I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, please feel free to leave me a like. Lets me know you did like what I did. Feel free to subscribe if you're new here, and share this with your friends if you think they'd benefit from this profile, but please do let them know that this was not the best version of the deck. I'm sure there were players playing it to a much better standard. But either way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.